these giant, like, it's like they put like a traffic cone on their hands. Like, is that advanced? I'm not sure that's advanced. Your hand is completely unusable now as a hand. Hail, Internet! It's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about Star Trek Discovery, Season 3, Episode 6, Scavengers.
Yes.
We begin with Discovery being upgraded. It's got detachable nacelles and programmable matter. The crew's got these cool badges that like the new cell phone, basically. Like, oh, look at all the things I've got. And Saru is in a big meeting with the Admiral and a bunch of the other commanders. We find out that Discovery is being put on like, okay, if we need to jump somewhere, you're on call. So just hang out. When we need you, we're going to call you. I noticed that, the other commanders are surprised, right?
They're like, what? Them?
What? The old guys? And, there's that line where he's like, it's an advanced drive system. News of that cannot leave this room. I'm like,
yeah, right? Was that Chekhov's plot point?
I think news is going to leave that room.
Look at them from the spinny spaceship. Ooh.
Oh, so that's how we begin. And then we end, after the events we'll talk about, with Saru, I guess you could say demoting Burnham from number one status.
Yes.
You are no longer number one.
No.
You are a number two.
Belong in the toilet.
That said, before we launch into specifics and such, Mr. Bunton, what did you think about Scavengers?
It was deceptively complex. Haha.
You're making reference to the fact that I was like, I'm not even sure what I'm going to talk about this episode. But then as we did a little pre-video chat and you stuck up for it. It's the main plot is interesting in that it's like engaging the whole like we got to escape from the slave labor camp.
Well, see, that's what they fooled you. I would say that's the weakest part of the whole episode.
I agree. I mean, I'm just saying it was engaging, but it wasn't. There's not a lot to talk about, in my opinion, with that. But you're right. All the peripheral stuff. There's actually quite a bit of stuff going on in the background.
Yeah, I mean, because I was listening to Falcon Hello, and the one thing they were saying was that they left a lot of things on the floor. It's like that actually could have been you might actually agree with this, a plot that was built for comedy. Because here they are in a junkyard with all the wastes of history there, and they could have been throwing a lot of different Star Trek jokes in there. And you have this sort of setup too where it's like, my person who's normally my friend, and I'm going to make my subordinate that I will abuse or whatever. And they didn't really, they could have her delivered a lot of little digs. Well,
you could tell the tone was not played for laughs with the dude giving his head blow up. I mean, that was, when they had the test the fence. Yeah. Like, okay. Which kind of reminded me a little bit of Running Man. There was like an electric fence and the thing. Anyway. But
apparently they have not watched enough Rick and Morty because, just because somebody's head blows up doesn't mean you can't put in a little comedy.
That's right. I mean, Monty Python. You can chop a guy's arms off.
There you go.
All the blood in the world. Hilarious.
Yeah.
One of the funniest scenes of all time. Yeah. So, okay. Good point.
But obviously, no, they did want to, because they decided to have Burnham and Book be kiss for the first time that I think we've seen.
They did. Not a surprise at all, but sure.
No. Yeah, I mean, it certainly, for the cynical amongst me, makes me wonder what they're setting us up for.
Are we gonna? You're saying like fridging Book at some point or something?
Yeah. I mean, they like to kill people on this.
They do. Book had gone to investigate this black box idea. Supposedly, Burnham's been looking for what they're calling them black boxes. It's like little flash drives that indicate the position of these various ships when they were destroyed during the burn.
And probably other information that the ship we were doing this, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Sure. Oh, check out these personal texts they were all sending. Yeah. Hang on, something is happening on the side. Oh!
That guy never did know how to drive. Well,
I think the idea is actually My theory, I think, is still in play. We were talking about how each episode might destroy my theory somewhat. My theory, I believe, is still in play because it sounds like Burnham has gotten a couple of black boxes now and is determined that there's a point of origin, that if the ships that are farther away blew up slightly after the other ships. And so, like, as opposed to being a simultaneous event, there was a signal sent from a certain location that destroyed everything. So I think my theory is still in play. All right, but
remind me of what the viewers.
There was like good point. You've never watched this show before, otherwise you wouldn't be here. You're like, I'll just give this a shot. The theory was that the music, some form of that music, was an intentional act. Like the vibrations, the frequency was set to blow up the dilithium crystals.
Interesting.
Who sent it? Not sure yet. Next week is the episode entitled Unification 3, and we do see Romulans in the trailer. So Romulans are in play, whether they're the villains. I don't. Still, that seems weird because they'd be blowing themselves up, but whatever. We're not sure who the big bad is, but some big bad, I think, sent out a signal that blew up all the dilithium that was being active at the time. All right. Book has his ship programmed so that if he doesn't return in 24 hours, the ship will head on its own, with Cat guiding it, I guess. the Cat's running the controls back to Burnham to warn her. It's like 3 weeks later after this, she gets the message. Hey, I might be in trouble. Not sure. Well, obviously he's in trouble. So Burnham comes to Saru. Hey, Saru, we got to go save Book and get this flash drive, which is equally important. And Saru's like, well, that sounds reasonable, but nope, we're on call. We can't leave. Sorry. No.
Yeah, no, we're so afraid of appearing, like we're a ship with needs or desires of our own. We have something to prove.
We're on probation. So it's like, you gotta get that. You're the new employee. And you're like, okay, after 6 months, you're going to get like 2 days of vacation. But until then, you have to stay on call. So that's what he's trying to do. So she says, like, fine. And you're like, okay, she's going to just go do this thing anyway. And sure enough, she recruits Georgiou, who is the voice of reason temporarily. Georgiou's like, this is a terrible idea. You're going to, like, screw Saru over really bad. Yeah, okay, fine. Anyway, you coming with me? Great. All right, cool. And they take off unsanctioned
And one thing that tells
trip.
us, too, one thing that also tells us is that they had Jerry Maguire in her universe.
What? You had me at...
Yes.
You had me at unsanctioned.
Yes.
Good point. They've also... Apparently, tweens are still a thing, apparently, as well. We learned that one of the big bads, the current big bad, is this person named Osira. I believe I believe is an Orion. And it's her nephew is running this slave labor camp.
Yeah.
And so we haven't met Osira yet. We just met the nephew, who kind of gets fooled by Georgiou enough to enact this escape, and then he manages to escape before dying. So we do see him like bamf out. So he'll be back later with vengeance on his mind, probably. I think I noted this in the first episode, but I'll note it again because it came up again here. Ding. It's the gun technology for these. It's these giant, like, it's like they put like a traffic cone on their hands. Like, is that advanced? I'm not sure that's advanced. Your hand is completely unusable now as a hand. You just have to. It's a flashlight.
They discovered in the future that the propensity of someone who has a gun in their hand to also use your hands or other things really keeps you from killing other people.
Okay, sure.
Good you're point. Just like, I could have killed you if I wasn't making a sandwich.
What the ultimate then would be is the guy with 2 traffic cone hands.
Yeah, there you go.
I can do nothing but shoot you.
I can't scratch my head.
There's also a character that we meet. I think his name is Ren. He's an Andorian who tried to lead a rebellion against Osira, and to punish him, she cut off his antennae And then she had him be the guy that puts the explosives in people's necks, and so everybody in the camp hates him, even though he's also a prisoner.
Yes.
He takes a bullet, takes a traffic cone shot for Book, and does not die. I thought, oh, that dude's certainly he's going out. But no, they kept him alive.
No. Well, clearly they want that scene once that guy comes back. They want him up there fighting him.
Right, Osiris' nephew versus Ren. Okay. One of the things we're seeing is, much like in last episode, Georgiou is having these visions, and these visions are coming unannounced, and they kind of put her in like a catatonic state. And the visions are of her Terran past.
Yes.
You break them down, and you've got things like she's in her outfit, like her emperor outfit, and there's somebody dead, and then you can see like a bloody knife or something, and you see the Terran symbol. She's crying over somebody's body. Do you have any thoughts on what this represents, good sir?
I don't. I mean, your thoughts about how it related to the previous episodes were interesting.
It seems that these are in sync with when she had her interrogation with Kovich.
Right. Actually, you now reminded me. I guess I did have some thoughts. Like, I don't know if this is all related to the... I don't know if it was ever confirmed, but I feel as if it was, that there was supposed to be some sort of Section 31 show. And I think it's been a question for us in the past if Georgiou was supposed to be part of that show, and so is this part of the plot to make her leave for that new show?
Right. No, that's a good point. Like, in other words, Kovich is like the future's version of Section 31, perhaps.
Yeah.
It does seem like it was timed with the hearing that the Terran culture is destroyed or unavailable in some way. Maybe something, either that caused a flashback, or somehow Kovich is a mirror universe. I don't know. Anyway,
right? Yeah, he certainly knows a lot about that universe. And I kind of don't. It doesn't really make sense that it's just like, boy, I'm really struck in reverie.
Yeah, no, it's because it's like it's.
I guess
it's more than just it's like physical. She collapsing.
Right. I mean, it might be some aspect of, okay, since it's further away, maybe there's something essence that you need. Although why it would wait until she finds out that she's so far away, but then.
Like you're saying, in other words, maybe the distance between. The fact that the mirror universe is drifting away is maybe causing her problems, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Who do we think is in the vision? I mean,
it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that those flashbacks don't have some other importance. I mean, she always talks about the other Burnham, which we haven't seen, right?
Correct. I think the other Burnham betrayed her.
Right, yes.
But then I believe, I could be wrong on this, I think her shuttle was blown up. So in other words, she wouldn't be like lying bloody on the floor. In that
yes, unless it was all a trick.
Correct, correct. That's just
she's
a story.
Like hanging out with Elvis.
It was an implication back in season 1 that perhaps Georgiou killed her mom. In which case, maybe her mom is the one. I'm not sure what relevance that has necessarily to our. But anyway, yeah. If you've got theories out there as to who it is, who is dead, who is dead in Georgiou's vision, let us know. She cares about that person very much, obviously. So I mean, it would kind of make sense that it would be Burnham if we didn't have any evidence to the contrary. But Adira basically reveals the existence of Gray to Stamets. It's like, hey. This is going to sound crazy, but you know what? I'm seeing my boyfriend, even though he's dead. And of all the people to talk to about it,
yes,
Stamets would be the person to talk to.
yes.
And so he is very understanding.
I really like the scene between Stamets and Culber when they were retiring, and Stamets really opens up about, wondering why he's so invested in them.
So now he doesn't have to have the little shunts in his arms. He can just put his hands in gel in Palmolive.
Yes. You're sinking in it. You're soaking in it.
You're spore driving in it.
Yeah.
what do we think about? In the moment, I just didn't feel like the punishment fit the crime for Burnham. Like, sure, Burnham makes the decision to go save Book, and that is her prerogative, and she can do that. But she should be, and be ready to then, like, as she put it, like, I'm going to face the firing squad. And she kind of doesn't, really. I mean, it's just like, you're not number one anymore. Okay, but you're still a commander. You're still chief of the science department or something like that. Yeah. The punishment she got was kind of a slap on the wrist, right. Maybe.
Yeah, and we were discussing it, and as I pointed out to you, this is improvement for her. The first time she disobeyed orders, she locked her superior officer in a room, and then had the ship defy the orders of the captain.
Yep.
So this time,
season 1,
she just went AWOL.
That's all. So that's the difference between being dropped from number 1 and getting a court-martial. Apparently, those are the two.
And also, too, it's what she was trying to accomplish was in keeping with the goals that they had agreed upon. So, and it's interesting too. Another interesting scenes with the admiral who, lets them know that perhaps there's more slack in how the ship is fitting into the Federation. Saru didn't even think of telling the admiral, okay, there's this mission that
That was a great point. You brought that up. I skipped over that, and you were absolutely right. Yeah, the admiral's like, look, if you'd have come to me with this idea of saving Book on this slave labor plant, I might have okayed it.
Well, she would have said that, he probably has the black box. Right. I mean, part of the reason why maybe you were still resistant is because Michael is setting it like, this is the end all, the be all.
That is maybe the least effective thing.
It will explain the connection between matter and energy. And
I don't get she's so impassioned about this. I'm like, if we don't find why the burn happened, the Federation will never, ever, 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 ever be a thing. Ever. You're like, isn't it though? Like, you give those stakes.
I think it's possible for her to be as invested in this goal and not explain it so peculiarly. Like clearly you should think so as well. And I think it's like, she could be like, I just feel like if I, find out the answer to this, that it would be important. And clearly, obviously, it should be of some importance.
It's of some importance, but it's not.
And you can certainly, in her defense, it was sort of expressed in the last episode how the admiral was maybe so concerned about what's going on, day to day, that he's not able to look past, so. Yeah,
but that's kind of in some ways my point is that, day-to-day things happen. You move on. You go, like, unless this event is somehow, like, finding out the why is, like, important to the survival of the Federation, which, let's face it, the story is telling us it is. So it is.
Yeah.
But nobody in the show, no characters know that for a fact.
Well, it's interesting too, right? That
if she doesn't say that, but she doesn't.
The way that Michael is not having these musical visions that everyone else is having. I wonder why they feel like they've gone to the well of visions too much. They certainly had it
They did.
Certainly had it before with the whole. Everybody's going to kill themselves.
Oh, that was in Picard, but yeah.
Oh, you're right. It was. Yeah. So they're like, they did it over there. We're not going to.
Linked. Yeah. I guess it's just like knowing the why isn't crucial. Sure, it's nice. It'd be good to know why.
They haven't proven that it's crucial.
Right. It's going to be proven that it's crucial because Burnham said it's crucial.
Yeah.
Hence, the story is telling us it's crucial. Why. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah. Part of it is, they're doing a number of things here that could hopefully be interesting. To put so much urgency, though, on finding the answer to this one question, which they haven't established yet, why it's so important. It's a little risky.
It feels manipulative on the part of the show.
Yeah.
The show's like, look, please be interested in why the burn happened. Please don't just dismiss the burn because it was over 100 years ago and now we're just moving on. No. You want to know what happened back. Trust us. Like, okay.
Oh, I've actually got an earlier version of the script where it says, please, Matt, don't discount the importance of this.
Then we'll find out. They're going to find out what happened at the burn, and then they're going to be like, but wait, 100 years before that, there was the Great Cataclysm. If we don't know what caused that, hey, Federation's terror. There's a bunch of goofs.
This Big Bang. No, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. If we don't know the origins of the world, like, come on. We've established this idea that in some ways Burnham, as much as she's had a lot of experiences and stuff, she kind of hasn't changed. She's still, she's got it feels like the personality traits of like a loose cannon, loner.
Well, one thing that we've seen, and actually it also reminds me of the Lower Decks show as well. There's a character who is kind of breaks the rules, okay. and can be vexing for the people around her.
Sure.
But it's very much the Kirk character.
It is. That's true. We've seen characters that break the rules, throughout Trek.
Yeah. So it's interesting that it's like typically at least in that instance anyway, it's the captain who's doing it.
That's true.
It's like the only choice is, I guess, we should take your ship away because you're doing this crazy stuff.
Don't you do that again?
Yeah.
But here, right, you're right. It's not the captain. It's not Saru doing it.
Right.
So you're like, wait, what's our punishment? Saru,
right.
you can make the punishment.
So the fact that they're doing more shuffling, because it seems clear that they're. The next candidate for number one will be Tilly.
Right, although I'll say this, as much as I agree, yes, we had the episode where Tilly and Saru are working together. We've seen Tilly being very competent in this last episode.
Yes.
But
against all expectations.
Against all expectations. I know. My favorite character is going to be number one. But but that said, I think she is still technically an ensign. Is that true? I don't know that she's like a commander or something like that, for instance. Which I'm just saying, it could throw up a plot line where people on the bridge crew, there's that woman that Saru always leaves, like, you're in charge of the ship while I'm gone, person.
That's
who we
true.
don't even know her name.
Yes, we do.
But that person might be a little
Detmer
upset.
Or Oyo.
Right. They might be like, wait, we're the bridge crew. Why does the science goof jump ahead of us into the number one status? You could theoretically see they could play out some kind of jealousy angle. I don't know. They probably won't. They'll probably be like, what? You deserve it. But.
Yeah, I don't know. Clearly, though, I feel like she might have come up in rank since the first season. I feel, anyway. It's like, certainly, there's been other things happening with that character.
Sure. Maybe she got some promotions in there. But anyway, you could see a situation where perhaps it rubs some folks the wrong way. They'd be like, what? Hey! I run the ship while you're gone. What the hell? But back to Burnham real fast. So I get it. If that's her character, she's like, look, when push comes to shove, I'm gonna do the thing that I think is right, regardless of whether the Federation thinks it's right or not. Okay, but then why is she so passionate about the Federation? She's like desperate to bring it back, which in some ways it's like, look, that Federation has to be around. It's not for me, but it's for other people. It'd be great. I personally think if it comes to the Federation, I would do my own thing. But you might.
It's true. Like, one thing, you might think the importance of it might be because she wants to get something back that she lost, right? She's talking about how she's finding this new aspect of herself. Maybe Initially, I would think that, okay, she wants to gain this thing back because she felt she's lost a sense of connection to the Starfleet and the Federation. However, it might be a sort of subconscious thing of, let me put the everybody back to a good position or something. So it's like, okay, now it's okay if I, distance myself or whatever.
Right, so you had thrown out an idea that I think is intriguing. You're suggesting perhaps the arc for Michael is maybe like having a ship of her own, or basically not being in the Federation anymore, perhaps.
Yeah.
Like in other words, Tilly's the number one. Michael stays on the ship for a while, but then toward the end of the season 3, she decides, you know what? Yeah, all these actions have happened, and I realize that year I spent by myself, I just realized that I'm not Federation material.
Right.
And at least between season 3 and 4, perhaps she is now on her own. She's off on her own for some reason. Now, the show is built around her. I don't see her leaving the show. But maybe they have an arc idea that like separates her temporarily from the Discovery, and she has to like be brought back by circumstances.
Right. I mean, certainly it's interesting that they decided to have it be a year where she was separated, and you could argue that, well, the situation with her mom is still unsettled, and during that period of that year, she was looking for the Discovery, so it wasn't like, what would I want for me? I mean, she's, she's obsessed, or at least, with, learning as much as she can about what's going on, and also reconnected with Discovery. So, potentially if this is resolved at the end of the season with the burn, maybe she'll be at a place where she's like, maybe I need to discover some new things for myself. I mean, certainly, one of the things actually that is interesting to me throughout Star Trek is the idea of distance. So they just made a ship that you can just zip around like this, that, the other. So you have a lot more, you're not as bound by like, oh, wow, we're so far away from people. You have technology that established virtual people, like, oh, it looks like you're here, but really you're on that ship that's over there or whatever. Presumably you could do the same for any planet or whatever. So, and also you're having another character that really just exists in somebody's head. So, even if she's on a different ship, Burnham, it's possible that it might not feel like she's really so separate.
That's a good point.
From the show.
And your comment just made me think of something that's interesting. You're right about the idea that getting rid of travel time is a huge change. Think about, for instance, the other show we're covering right now, Mandalorian. Yes. Mandalorian is all about traveling.
Yes.
I mean, in terms of like, I have to get to this destination. Oh, my ship's in trouble. I got to do this thing. Oh, in order to get my fuel, I have to do this mission. Okay, fine. Right. And so the traveling is, in some ways, the mission. If you create a show where you just cut the travel time out, it's interesting. It does make a much different feel to the show.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that might be predicated, though, on, and I wonder if they'll do that, if they'll proliferate that technology to the other ships, or will that just be the only ship that can do it,
Right, I mean,
they still haven't tackled the problem of, okay, he can stick his hand in some Perel, but, maybe
let's put it this way.
Ultimately have
surely
the computer system that does it. Yes.
You're going to have to come up with an explanation as to why no one else is doing it if that's the way you're going. If you go with the idea that Discovery is it, there's got to be a reason. Oh, we don't have access to that alloy anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever the thing is.
Yeah, but they've put this situation. The reason why they're in the situation they're in, the primary reason why, is they don't have access to dilithium that allows them to travel as much as they did before. So one of the things that presumably should come back once they find out the answer to the burn question is, okay, we get the lithium back. Or
it seems a little like that's a little nebulous to me, right? Like in this episode, it's like, true dilithium is a big deal, right? They're like, we have some true dilithium. True dilithium? But we've seen dilithium in the show. I guess it's some kind of manufactured version of dilithium. It's not, like when...
It might be more rare.
Michigan's, yeah.
This might be more rare.
So maybe it's just more rare.
Yeah, so that's why he was like, I got to get some or whatever.
Because when she's a courier, she's doing a courier to get dilithium. It seemed like that was one of her job. That was like her payment for some of her jobs. So it's out there. I guess I'm just saying it's there. It's not like
but it's
zero dilithium.
Much rarer than it was before.
Is it by the end of the season will all the ships just be decked out with spore drives and then they can just go boop, 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 anywhere they want?
The other thing I thought about was I think one of the benefits of having this ship that can, all the pieces don't have to stay connected is that you can turn around quicker, I guess. Yeah. Which, it seems like, geez, is that really practical? It's like, I was in the Jeffries tube when
it feels like there's so many ways that could go wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Wait, what is the ship doing? Oh, Jesus, let me get out of this hallway.
I don't think 2 weeks was enough training to steer this thing.
Yeah, we wrapped it around a tree. Now now we're screwed. Okay, all right. It looked cool. It was like, but yeah, I think this next episode will end with some kind of a cliffhanger.
That makes sense.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Burnham is going to go off on her own ship. Oh, she did.
Well,
okay,
you're right. Well, Unification 3, it does kind of seem like something where, they're going to let us see something that will keep us on the edge of our seats.
I mean, if you're going to throw out that title, throw that card down, you kind of almost need to have Spock at some point, right? I mean, he's out there.
Is he?
They left him behind, but he's still connected to the show. He's been in the show. He wants to. I don't know. I'm just saying, maybe. I don't know whether it's a flashback to Spock or what. I feel like Spock.
Right. I mean,
will be in the show.
Clearly, he'll be referred to, right, since he's involved with the end of.
I'm not saying. Yeah, you're right. I'm not saying that he's going to show up necessarily in this current time.
Yeah. Obviously, it'll be revealed, or she'll reveal, or express her connection to Spock.
So anyway, we'll be back talking about that, and we're talking Mandalorian as well, and happy Thanksgiving. So thank you, as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir.
Sure enough.
And we'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.